Good morning. This is Rashad Mitchell coming to you live from my YouTube channel as I continue on my part series on the sports team, the professional sports teams that didn't win the championship during that season. This is part 7. I'll be talking about the 1995 Orlando Magic, a team that had great stars like Penny Hardaway, Shaquille O'Neal, and great complementary players around them during that particular time. If you're an Orlando fan at that time, the Magic were the team to be reckoned with. And they were so fun to watch. You know, Magic and the Orlando Magic, because you had Penny and Shaq. They were like the Kareem and Magic of the 90s that they was projected to be. Like Magic and Kareem. They would stay together. But these were the best of times for the Magic because they overachieved than people expected. They had a 57-25 record, had the best record in the Eastern Conference. They had a 39-2 record, and they tied for the second best in NBA history. Penny Hardaway, along with O'Neal, were in the All-Star game. You know, they had one of the most dominating starting lineups, and plus, the key factor in that team that year is that they got Horace Grant, who had won 3 rings with the Bulls, and he came to, Orlando, and he was a key factor, obviously, and they went to the finals that year. Well, unfortunately, they got swept. That's why they're part of one of the best professional sports teams that I've seen in the NBA to not win a championship. That was a great basketball team. They were dominant at home. They did their thing. They beat Boston in 4 games. Then they played the Bulls, and Michael Jordan, who came back 25 years ago in 95, beat them in 6 games. And that's the game where Horace Grant was lifted up. They carried Horace Grant on their shoulders, and he was waving a towel like they won a championship. It was premature because first of all, you didn't win the championship. Second, you did not win the championship, but you just won a second round game. I understand it was a big victory for Horace Grant personally because it was against Chicago, his former team, but at the same time, that was a little premature, and it came back to haunt them because they lost the following year to the Bulls in a sweep. But the '95 Orlando Magic was a great team. It was coached by Brian Hill. They were dominant on the home court, 39-2. They beat the conference finals the Indiana Pacers in 7 games, and then they went to their first ever NBA Finals. But they ran into a Houston Rockets team who were the defending champs. They had got Clyde Drexler in the trade. But Shaq could not handle Olajuwon. Olajuwon had a great series. I gotta look up and see how many points he averaged in that finals. And plus, the game 1 in Orlando was lost at the free throw line because Nick Anderson missed 4 free throws in a row with the Magic up by 3 at the waning seconds of the game, and the Rockets tied the game at the buzzer. Kenny Smith, I think he would hit game-winning shot. No, he was the one that was hot during that game 1 series, game 1 of the finals, and they didn't recover after that. You know what I'm saying? Once Anderson wasn't making those free throws and they lost, they didn't recover. They wasn't the same team after that. So, as far as that's concerned, man, like that was a bad loss for the Rockets, for the Orlando Magic, because they could have won a championship no matter how young Penny and Shaq was, and they was young indeed, but they overachieved. They had talent. They had Horace Grant, so championship aspirations had to reign supreme before that '95 season. But they ended up losing to Houston Rockets in a sweep, and that was just something that if you're an Orlando fan at that time, you didn't envision seeing, because that team was loaded, Orlando. And they lost in 4 games. They lost 120-118 because Nick Anderson missed free throws. Kenny Smith hit a 3-pointer to tie it. He hit 7 3-pointers. He set a new record, Kenny Smith. Yes, the Rockets was more experienced and all that, but when you got Horace Grant, that was a key cog. And another thing about Orlando had Shaq and Penny, Horace Grant, Dennis Scott, and Nick Anderson. This team was loaded. They could shoot the three. If you double team Shaq, you kick it out to a wide open Nick Anderson or a wide open Dennis Scott. Kick it out to Horace Grant, Hardaway, whoever it is. They'll knock down an open shot. And they should have won that series at that time. It was one of the most shocking, surprising NBA Finals sweeps you ever going to see, because Orlando was just as good as Houston. Houston just had the experience. Yes, they had Hakeem Olajuwon, who was playing at a high level. Yes, they had Clyde Drexler. They had Robert Horry, who was making big shots. He was coming into his own, being a staple of just hitting big shots in big games. Robert Horry, at that time, he was, really developing that reputation for hitting big shots in big games during that period of time. And Sam Cassell and Mario Elie. So they were definitely clutch city, the Houston Rockets at that time. So the Houston Rockets during that time, they won the championship. They were the lowest seed to win the championship because they were the 6th seed. They were 47-35. The Magic was 57-25. That's why Orlando had the home court advantage. So Hakeem Olajuwon scored 31 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists. Kenny Smith had 23 points, 9 assists. The Game 2, Houston Rockets won Game 2, 117-106. Hakeem Olajuwon had 34 points. Game 3, Hakeem Olajuwon had 31 points, 14 rebounds, 7 assists. And in Game 4, Hakeem Olajuwon had 35 points and 15 rebounds. This dude was unbelievable. He outplayed Shaq. Shaq played great, played very good, 28 points a game. But Hakeem Olajuwon played at an all-time level, averaging 32.8 points per game. He averaged 33 points a game if you average it out. He scored 31, 34, 31, 35. The dude was on point at that time. And he outplayed Shaq by a landslide. And that concludes this look at part 7 of the 1995 Orlando Magic, team that could have won the championship. They had an open window before Shaq unfortunately left in 96 to go play with the Lakers, but this was the best of times for Orlando. I mean, they were in the finals that year, and then they didn't get back to the finals until 2009 when they had Dwight Howard, but nothing against Dwight Howard and that cast of teammates that he had, but nothing compared to the talent that Shaq and Penny had, because Dwight Howard didn't have a superstar on his side. I don't believe. I gotta look at the roster in 2009 compared to what Penny and Shaq had, because they had 2 cornerstone franchise game-changing players at that time, and they just ran into a buzzsaw against the Houston Rockets. And Hakeem Olajuwon was just unbelievable in that series, averaging 32.8 points a game, scored over 30 points every game. I mean, he outplayed Shaq. And that was one of the rare matchups. This is a moment in time where you had centers go against each other, because in 94, it was Olajuwon versus Ewing. He outplayed Ewing. And then you had Shaq against Olajuwon. That was a great center matchup. Something that you're never going to see again. You haven't seen, I don't think, since then. And when you talk about centers going against each other like that, great centers, Hall of Fame centers of that caliber, I don't think you've seen that since. I got to do the research, but those are the best of times when it comes to big men going at it and being the center stage of it all in the finals. So that concludes this part 7 on the Orlando Magic of 1995. Part 7, I'll do the same thing this series tomorrow. I do obviously once a day a look at certain aspects of the series once a day. So this is part 7 of the 1995 Orlando Magic, the professional sports teams that didn't win a championship during that season, part 7. Until then, support, subscribe, like, share. Until then, talk to you soon.